is really to blame here. I mean, the Fed has just, with their money that they continue to print, and no one can make even 1% at the bank.
Oh, good morning. This is Harold with WorldTVOnDemand.com, and today we're going to talk about a few things: immigration, the debt. Did you know that Michigan is $74 billion in debt? $74 billion in debt. I'm looking at their debt clock right here, and it's going up fast. So, but anyway, we're talking about immigration and stuff, and O'Reilly and Rudy Giuliani was talking about what to do about immigration. This is disturbing, but the reason they're not enforcing a lot of the laws in California is because of you wine drinkers out there. If you want your wine, you can't have your wine and not have your illegal aliens. If you're having your wine, you got to have illegal aliens. Listen to Rudy Giuliani and Bill O'Reilly talking about this, and look at the face of Bill O'Reilly when Rudy Giuliani makes these comments. Just watch this.
Immigrants from coming into the United States. It would be simpler to do that than it was to reduce crime by 60% in New York.
Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. And I think most of our viewers, and certainly I want to stop the border craziness. But you wouldn't oppose Kate's law, would you?
I would, I'd make one amendment to it. It would have to be an illegal immigrant who was deported for some kind of criminal act.
Okay.
Okay, so here you go. It's already a criminal act to come in the country illegally, and you're supposed to be deported if you're found here illegally. But now they're going to have caveats to that.
A criminal alien.
Let's take the people who pick grapes in Napa Valley.
But they have to be held accountable too if they're
picking grapes in Napa Valley. I mean, this is what it's come down to.
deported. They can't just be coming back.
Well, here's the fact that happens. You're not going to have California wine. Arnold Schwarzenegger cut off the border.
Oh my goodness, you're not going to have California wine. Oh my God.
And
well, then we have to get a guest worker program to get the wine.
But
right?
I mean, look at Bill O'Reilly's face. He's astounded that Rudy Giuliani said that on his show. Got 4 million people, or 40 million, whatever it is, watching his show.
Here's what we have to do. It gets a little more complicated. I agree. If a criminal is let back here, the person should be prosecuted, sent to jail for 5 years, mandatory minimum sentence. However, we have to stop them from coming in, and then we have to let people come in who are going to do work that we need.
That the industries need, and they would go through proper channels to tell.
You have to do that.
Right. No.
Now listen, you can go to any city, Orlando, New York, San Diego, whatever, and there's all kinds of people standing around looking for work. If you sent them to Napa Valley, California, and gave them room and board, health care, pocket money, and told them to go out and pick grapes, I think you would have plenty of workers without having to have illegal aliens picking your grapes to make your wine. Let's see what else they got to say.
Poses that if industry needs a certain amount of labor, it should be done methodically and legally. All right, you want to secure the border, how?
Okay, very simple. We have 50 Border Patrol stations. We space them 40 miles apart. We man them with 500 Border Patrol agents each. We deploy cameras, night vision cameras, and then you have available to you on any shift at least 200 to 300 Border Patrol agents that can stop anybody from coming into the United States. You institute a CompStat program.
Well, I have a problem with that. I mean, that's fine. But the Mexicans, I think they have a right to work, and they probably need the jobs that are here. But what about the border around the rest of the country? I mean, we're going to send all these people and all the resources for that one border, and then we're not going to watch the coastline of the eastern United States and the coastline of the western United States, or the Canadian border, which Canadians do a pretty good job. But anyway, this is crazy talk.
The Fed is really to blame here. I mean, the Fed has just, with their money that they continue to print, and no one can make even 1% at the bank.
And talking about the stock markets, don't worry about the stock markets in the United States yet. But look at here, Hong Kong. This is July the 8th. I'm just looking at it. They're down 1,440. Down. Everything is down. Japan is 638. Taiwan 274. Australia 170. China 219. I mean, you can look at this for yourself. This is the Asian index, and this is July the 8th, 2015. That is not good. We cannot continue on with this, and this is not, you can't make a one world government and a one world currency. You just can't do it. So they're going to have to do something different. We're going to have to get out of this. Excuse me. And here we are. Up here in this corner right here, it says U.S. national debt. We're at $18 trillion in debt. So our debt, everybody else's debt is not a drop in a bucket to the United States debt, but it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a huge problem.
The Fed is really to blame here. I mean, the Fed has just, with their money that they continue to print, and no one can make even 1% at the bank.
Listen to what they're saying, because the Janet Yellen, which is in charge of the money in the United States, she's got the printing presses going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to keep our stock market propped up. It's not up there because of investors. It's because the U.S. government is piling more money into our stock market, which devaluates the dollar and makes it worthless. But just listen to what these intelligent people are saying that about Greece and where Greece is getting the money from.
We absolutely did bail out the bank, and the recovery has been a recovery that's lopsided towards the wealthy, not towards the average person.
I mean, this is a good example for everybody around the world. The ELAs, as you've mentioned also, they're making noise about maybe we should kind of help Greece, for a few days. But all that means is it comes directly from the taxpayer. This is a really good education for those who are 20 years old, who think that there's a money tree somewhere.
It comes directly from the taxpayer. What does that mean? People in America as taxpayers. The taxpayers in America.
The god of Kasharama, where money is rains down from the sky, that it comes from somewhere, and it comes from the individual. Now, banks are a good thing. They can be helpful. But when governments...
But bad behavior must be punished.
Yes. And so when you have governments that arrange this, you're going to, frankly, see some of this dynamic. And I think that if, in fact, banks have to hurt a little bit without collapsing, maybe that's going to have to happen.
Well, here's the thing, Steve. We know in 2001, Greece came into the EU. Then they revealed 3 years later we lied. We lied on our application, sort of like those liar loan things that we had in this country, and they lied with the help of Goldman Sachs. Listen, banks are a good thing, but at the end of the day, in a capitalistic society, if you fail as a business, you should be allowed to fail. Every time the banks seem to get off scot-free, and this is making people around the world, I think they should be rightfully upset.
Well, and here's the sad thing, Charles. It gives populists ammunition to attack capitalism, but they're not really attacking capitalism. They're attacking what is a facade of capitalism. This is
we absolutely did bail out the bank, and the recovery has been a recovery that's lopsided towards the wealthy, not towards the average person.
crony capitalism at its absolute worst. And by the way, I'm glad Tammy mentioned young people, because nobody suffers more from crony capitalism than young people. Yet paradoxically, they seem to support this very administration in this country that is so entrenching and promoting crony capitalism. But a vibrant, dynamic, entrepreneurial capitalism is what lifts young people and what lifts countries to new heights. Greece is emblematic of what is going on globally and within our country, which is protecting and choosing winners, and that is a problem long-term for Greece.
The Fed is really to blame here. I mean, the Fed has just, with their money that they've continued to print, and no one can make even 1% at the bank.
Growth. But I'm optimistic. Again, America is different. We will overcome this.
Well, I don't know how different we were in the last financial crisis, because we bailed out the banks. And listen, we can debate whether it worked or not, because there were so many facilities. You thought that was a lot of alphabets? If we ever took all the different alphabet soup of all the different things we had in this country, we need a 2-hour program, Jim. But ultimately, Main Street's not getting any real loans. It's tough to get a loan to buy a house. And again, we bailed out the banks at the taxpayer expense.
Oh, absolutely. We absolutely did bail out the bank, and the recovery has been a recovery that's lopsided towards the wealthy, not towards the average person. What's going to be very interesting in the presidential campaign that we're going into is whether we have a broader discussion here. Are we going down the road of the socialist road like Steve was talking about? Do we want to veer more to the right, more back to the center? We absolutely did bail out the bank, and the recovery has been a recovery that's lopsided towards the wealthy, not towards the average person. I haven't heard the dialogue yet from the Republicans. You're hearing it from the Democrats to go further in that direction.
Sure.
I want to see what the Republicans have to say.
And it's so far, listen, we know that this is going to be probably the key.
And it don't matter if you vote a politician back in office for president, you're going to get the same thing that we have now. Democrat or Republican, if we don't, as an Americans, hire a businessman to get this country out of debt, politicians are just going to grease the wheels of other politicians and the palms of other politicians, and we're going to really be in trouble. Let's see if they got anything else worth listening to.
Both sides, though, are acknowledging Hillary, income inequality. The argument is what creates it and what will solve it. I think it's these sort of policies that makes income inequality worse. Nevertheless, it seems to play for the architects of it, the Democrats so far.
Well, the Fed is really to blame here. I mean, the Fed has just, with their money that they've continued to print, and no one can make it.
Okay, the Fed. Let's listen to that again, because they're not even going to talk about this too much. The Fed, that's Janet Yellen. She's got the printing presses going, devaluating our currency by printing and printing and printing and printing and printing more money. What'd she say?
The Fed is really to blame here. I mean, the Fed has just, with their money that they've continued to print, and no one can make even 1% at the bank.
Wow. So I wish they would have had more on that, on the printing of the money from our government, because you can't just make anything valuable by printing paper money that has no value and has nothing to back it up. I mean, that's elementary, people. Sorry about the camera. Working by myself here, but anyway, this is Harold with WorldTVOnDemand.com, bringing you some news from today. It's July the 8th, 2015, and subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and I'll bring you another video soon. Have a good day.